Hello, hello, everyone. I am once again excited. I'm really excited for this topic today about using EFT to remove blocks and fulfill your heart's desires. And today we have I want you to say
Yeah,
your name.
Safiya
Safiya.
Omosanya.
Oh, I love that last name, Safiya Omosanya. And she graduated with her Bachelor of Science in OT in 1999. I always think of Prince when I see that date. And she has worked in most settings. In 2012, she found her passion after being trained as a level 2 EFT, emotional freedom technique practitioner. Since then, she has been spreading the word about EFT in workshops to schools, professionals, the community in 12 states as a CEU provider for Vine Education, now PESI. That's
Yes,
pretty big.
yes,
And and more. Currently, she provides EFT sessions at the local healing center, works for Able to as a behavior coach, and is on the path to being a spiritual and mindset mentor for women globally. So, thank you so much for being here.
my pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Yeah. So I'm super excited. How do we go? I mean, I sort of, because, like, okay, being a physical therapist by training, I've worked with a lot of occupational therapists over the years. And I kind of get this sense that you all, I even think I heard one OT say you all were like the original life coaches.
Mhm.
And so I tend to think of y'all as more if we are the cerebral folks, y'all are the creative folks and really get in there. And sometimes a little bit more spiritual and woo, which I love. So I can kind of see how the path went from what you're doing today, like being an OT to what you're doing today. But I would love to hear, like, how did you get into EFT? What is it, and how do we actually use it to remove blocks?
Okay. So first of all, from the time I was like young, I had severe anxiety, and I was a negative thinker, a pessimist, and life just wasn't going too great for me. But I kind of mustered through, and I actually got into OT kind of by accident. I've always been into like psychology, sociology, how the mind works. And when I was in high school, one of the counselors was like, "So what are you going to do when you grow up?" And I said, I don't know, maybe I go into psychology, sociology. She said, "But what are you going to do with that? There's no money in that." She was like, and she actually said, "Why don't you go for PT?" She was
Mhm.
like, "You can work with people and they pay good." And I was just like, I'm a teenager. Okay. So when I got to my college, they didn't have PT anymore. They like, "Well, why don't you go for OT?" I was like, okay. I had no idea, honestly, what I was going into, but I'm glad that actually, because OT was a better fit than PT would have been for me. No
Mhm.
offense, but anyway, um, because OT did have back in the day, OTs actually started in psych, so it's actually
Huh?
interesting what OTs are doing now. But they started in psych. So when I was in school, we still were doing. I don't even know if they still have psych, like rotations now. I'm not sure. But back when I was in school, we had like a whole semester on psych, and I aced everything, got like straight A's on everything, even like the final exam, and loved just working in psych and learning about the mind. But that's because I had my own issues. And so when I was on my field work, my psych field work, I discovered that what I had was social anxiety disorder. So I was like suffering for a long time with that, just like thinking that everybody was watching me and just not feeling comfortable around people. And so that was good to get that diagnosis. So I started taking medication for that. But when I got pregnant, I couldn't take the medication anymore. And so I kind of fell into like a depression. So I just felt like, oh my goodness, like this I had everything like on paper. I looked great. Like I had a husband, I had a kid, home, a career, all of that, but I was miserable.
Mm.
So I kind of was on a path after that to kind of figure out, how do I get control of my mind? So did this like home study program, kind of got through my anxiety, but not like totally, but got through enough to function where I felt better. So I would just pray every day, God, please help me, help me, help me, help me. I just can't like continue like this. And so one day a friend of mine, she was sending me an email about like numerology or something. And the people that host that email had something about tapping. And they were having this, they have this video, was called Try It on Everything. It's now been named the tapping solution, but it was Try It on Everything. I don't know if you're familiar with like the ordiners. Okay. So they were the ones, there was the video. So I saw it, I saw like the trailer, and I was like, like my mouth was like open, like, oh my God. So I was like, I gotta see this.
Well, what was it about the trailer that really made you?
The trailer was like limiting beliefs and helps with, you know, just pretty much everything, like self-esteem issues. I actually have a shirt on some of the things that EFT works on. I created this shirt.
Oh, you made that? That's cool.
But yeah, it was, the main thing was like your beliefs and how that affects your whole life. And that was the thing. I had a lot of limiting beliefs about myself and life and the world and people. And so that was the one that really like struck, where I was like, I need to know more about this. So I looked it up. They had a place in my area, like a park district, and they had like a little introduction. And I went there, and just, I happened to play the movie there at that particular, on that day. And then I ordered it on my own and watched it. And so they worked with different people. They worked with people on like weight issues. They worked with people with public speaking issues, addiction. I mean, like everything like you could think of, they were talking about in this video. And it just really like resonated. So I was like, I need more.
So what exactly is EFT, which I've also heard is called tapping?
Emotional freedom techniques. So when I first got trained in it, they were saying that it was based on like the acupuncture points. So some of the needles that an acupuncturist would put in the body is points that we're like tapping on with our fingers. So it was based on the meridian system, and that any thoughts that you have, or any negative thoughts that you have, which I don't like to call them negative, but thoughts that don't serve you and make you feel good, causes a block in your energy system, is what it was saying. And tapping on these meridian points kind of takes the kink out of those blocks and get the energy flowing. Okay. So that's what I was taught then. Okay. But then I found out that they started doing research on it. And then they started doing more and more and more and more research on it, which was exciting to me, because I just got an email the other day. It's like 100, they have more than 100 studies and review articles published in professional peer-reviewed journals sharing the effectiveness of tapping. So yeah, so once I discovered that, because I was telling everybody about it, once I discovered that, then I'm like, okay, I want to teach this to other healthcare professionals. Like, other people need to know this, because I started taking it and using it with my patients. I was doing home care, which was cool because I could kind of do what I wanted to do. Nobody kind of knew.
Because it's just you and the patient in the house, nobody else in the clinic looking like, what is she doing?
Exactly. And the patients were like loving it. Oh my God, like pain down, like this, fear of falling, you know, people who wasn't getting in the showers anymore were, you know, being able to get in their showers again, you know, range of motion.
So what was going on with them?
With who?
With your patients, that you were able to use the EFT to help them?
Well, actually, you can use it with so many different things. So I was able, as long as most of the patients were open to trying something different. So pretty much most of the issues, while I was in the picture, they needed EFT, because EFT works for so many things.
Yeah, well, I'm trying to kind of tease out, like, for the person that is really into evidence-based practice, and I know they've done 100 or so peer-reviewed research studies and whatnot. Like, what exactly is happening that would take a person from they're having pain or they're afraid to get in the shower, that in 1 or 2 sessions they'll be able to release those blocks and actually be able to do something?
Glad you asked. Okay, so this is the modern science says, and this is what had me to be able to present this. It was cross country education, then they went to Vine, and now they've merged with Pepsi. But what made me be able to go to them, because they needed like 30 peer-reviewed articles of proof that this works. So is what it does is it sends a signal to our amygdala, which is a part of the brain that detects threat. And it tells the amygdala, you can relax, you're safe. So stress is like pretty much the root cause of most of the issues that people have. That amygdala is lighting up and is firing. And so when you're tapping on these points, it deactivates the arousal of the amygdala. So, and then also too, when it comes to like memories and things like that, if you think about something, your body goes into like a physiological response, right? Mm-hmm. So when you bring something up and you tap on the points, you're deactivating that arousal. So the memory is still there, but the physiological response is no longer there.
So does that help with what I've seen with some of the stuff? Like, I'm not really into it, but the chronic pain and the snake bite. Like, I remember seeing a TED talk where the guy was talking about how he got bit by a snake, mm-hmm. and then it was something like a twig, and he still had that physiological response of pain from the memory of the snake bite. Right. And so it makes sense to me, if I'm understanding you correctly, that the amygdala was causing the physiological response, even though it was a twig and not a snake. And through using EFT and tapping on the various meridian points, you would have been able to reduce that physiological response that was created by the memory of the other response.
Yes.
Okay, so this is fascinating. Yeah. So, and the reason why I asked this question, because there are a number, obviously we're a group of healthcare professionals, but I had my own story with EFT. And at that point, I had hurt my back. I was out for 6 months, pain going down my leg. I didn't care what it was. I just wanted to be out of pain. Mm-hmm. And I remember watching this same guy, Nick Ortner, I think I'm saying that right, from the Tapping Solution, where he was talking about chronic pain and kind of like anger. Mm-hmm. And the emotional freedom technique. So, and I just remember the story of the lady that he was going to tap with, saying that she was on a hammock with her kids and something happened, it broke or it flipped or something, and she twisted in the air and flipped to make sure that the kids landed on top of her instead of she landing on top of them. And she had been in pain, and it was something about anger with her husband, blah, blah, blah. So probably shouldn't do this at home, people, but I was driving down the street when I heard that. And so I just started tapping with her as he was taking her through it, because I had my own anger associated with the back and leg pain. And I'm telling you, it was maybe a 5-mile drive. And as I tapped through the various points and I was repeating whatever he had her say, and I remembered the person that I was angry with, that I kept saying that my back hurt because you didn't say something, blah, blah, blah. And that pain that had never, it was like at a 7 or 8 out of 10 at that point, went down to a 4 in just that little amount of time. And it never went back up to anything higher than a 4. It was incredible. Yeah. So I'd love to hear, like, because I know it's not just the tapping, you say things with it. So what are the meridian points, and how do you take somebody through that work?
Okay. Well, I'm going to, so that I don't butcher it, I'm just going to, because I brought my little book from when I was doing my speaking tour. Mm-hmm. And so let me just tell you exactly what the meridians are. Because, the thing in EFT is we don't even like focus on all of that. We just know it works. But I had to get all of this. When you're presenting and you're talking to healthcare professionals, you want to have all this information because people are going to ask, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right. So the meridian points are like energy channels that run through the body, and that is based on like ancient Chinese medicine. So and so what it is, this is a study published in the Journal of Electron Spectroscopy and related phenomena confirmed the existence of acupuncture points. It was demonstrated that the points have a distinct structure and a higher density of microvessels that are larger than those in non-acupuncture points. So they go through the body, mm-hmm. and they're associated with like different organs, and they have their own like vessels and everything. Mm-hmm. And so it's based in Chinese medicine, but how it came into mainstream was a psychologist named Roger Callahan was studying it, and he tried it with one of his patients that he had been working with her for like 2.5 years. She had like a water phobia, and he couldn't get anywhere with her. So he had her to tap on the meridian points. Now, it don't always happen this quick, but she all of a sudden ran towards the water and was like, I'm free.
Okay.
Sometimes it is. I have worked with people and it's like one hit wonder, and it's like, really? Like, that's it? You know, and then sometimes it might take like 6 sessions or whatever. But anyway, he started teaching it, but he had like a certain sequence. So it's called TFT at the time. And it actually came out in the 80s. And so one of his students, Gary Craig, was a Stanford engineer. He said, you know what, I think we could simplify this a little bit. You know how engineers' minds work. So he actually simplified EFT and made it more simple, because there was like, if you have pain, then you're going to do this sequence. And if you have this, and he said, how about we just tap on all of these points? Let's make it simple. And then he just put it out into the world. And that was like 1995, I believe. And like the rest is history with that. So people just started using it on everything. And that's what I started doing. I started experimenting with any and everybody, my children, friends, you know, everybody. So my kids now are like, not my little one, but they run for me because they like, leave me alone. I'm like, come on, let's record this video. They like, leave me alone. I don't want to tap.
That's funny. Oh my goodness.
But so yeah, I've worked with people like in the healthcare setting with anxiety and with pain and stressors, things like that. But then I got into like law of attraction work, which I have to say, I had a spiritual awakening like 2 years ago. So I'm kind of on a path to like self-actualization right now. But the law of attraction work is what you call like stage 2 on the path. So when I got into the law of attraction, I was a great manifester. I could manifest some things, right? So I kind of got certified in law of attraction, and then I started like teaching that to people. I like teaching things to people, and so I started teaching that. And you know how people have their vision boards of like what it is they want to create. Well, I remember getting an email when I learned about tapping, and it said law of attraction not working for you, because I do remember putting something up on my vision board that I really didn't believe could happen. Like, but they were with the law of attraction. I don't know if you're familiar. They kind of made it look like all you got to do is just think something, put it on your vision board.
Yeah, the secret. Yeah.
Right. You know what I mean? And so, and some of the stuff did. That's because there wasn't any subconscious blocks to getting that. But if you have blocks where there's a programming that you have that says, let's take money, for example. I remember putting, on there, I don't know, making 200,000 by, in 2 months or something like that. And nothing was happening. Right. And because I had all these money blocks, so it was not going to happen. And so how you can use EFT with that is you have a vision of what it is that you want. And what I do is I have people to kind of visualize themselves and what they want, and then pay attention to your body. right? Because then your heart will start to beat fast, and you might hear some little voices that says, no, or something may come up.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, yes, but, okay? Yes, but.
Yes,
Okay.
I hear the yes, but a lot from my clients. Yes,
Yes,
but
but.
I need to go get another certification first.
Yes, yes. So that's the time where it's like, okay, let's bust out some tapping. Like I work with a group of women now, and I told them to do an assignment, and pretty much nobody did it.
Mm-hmm.
So it was like, okay, fortunately, I have EFT. All right, what's going on, ladies? And it's like, okay, yes, but I don't deserve it. Some of the common ones, I don't deserve it. It's not safe. It's not who I am, because we have a certain identity of who we are. So yeah, those are the common ones. It's not safe. I don't deserve it. And it just doesn't, it's just not me, and just can't see yourself. So those are the things that you can tap on, and just tap. Yeah.
So let's do one for worthiness, because I get that a
Okay.
lot. So
Okay.
if you have someone who, let's say they want to have the business, they want to make money, they want to go from healthcare to coaching or some other business,
Mhm.
but some of these blocks are coming up.
Yes.
What would you have them go through?
Okay. So I would have to say, first of all, there's a few ways to use EFT. Now, if you're using it on your own, you can use it as kind of like a self, I would say, what like first aid tool. Okay.
Mhm.
Which means what in the moment it can get you through doing what it is that you need to do. Okay. But it's going to keep coming back, whatever the issue is. Now, if you want to get to the root, right? I'm gonna give an example. So I have this sheet where it's like a table, and the top of the table says, okay, let's just say I'm not worthy. Okay, this one says I'll never get ahead, but let's just say I'm not worthy.
Mhm.
And then underneath those are the table legs. Fourth grade teacher said I couldn't be a doctor. Mom said my sister was the clever one. Passed over for deserved promotion. So there's things underneath
Okay.
that I'm not worthy. You know what I mean? That's just like general. Okay.
Right.
So you would have to get to the core belief. When did I make this decision? Where does this come from? And
Mhm.
then go in and tap and address that. Now that might require working with, a practitioner, but on your own, you can do it just in the moment as you're trying to move forward. Just like at this point, I have a daily tapping practice with myself.
Mhm.
So anything that's coming up constantly, just tapping on it. I can't do this because I'm not worthy, and just kind of speak out whatever is coming up, and that can help you to move forward. And you might just have to do that on a daily basis until you rewire your brain and give it new information. So that's a way to
Gotcha.
do it too.
So you're typically there's, if I understood the table correctly, at the top there's the surface level belief, but then we made evidence to support that belief in, okay, this happened when I was 10 and this happened when I was 16, to support that dominant belief that I'm not worthy. And so we use those table legs, if you will, and tap on those
Yes,
sentences or statements or those situations
yes.
to kind of calm down the amygdala.
Amygdala.
Okay, so once you've tapped through those points or those situations, then what?
Then you will then go out into the world and you kind of see, if because there can be aspects to things. There can be, like, say for instance, I'll give an example because this is what I gave when I was doing my tour, was the fear of flying. Like it could be an issue with turbulence. So once you like tap on turbulence, then it could be, I don't know, the fear of, drowning. So there's aspects. It's like a onion,
Mm.
you're peeling. So there may be different things that may come up, but you'll know when you get out into the world. So like when I went for EFT training, we tapped on when I was in 7th grade, and I got teased, and I used to get teased every day, but there was one event that stuck out. That's why I had social anxiety. So that's where that came from, is when I walked into the class, one guy called me a name, and the whole class just laughed. like a bad movie, right? And so I'm like, I don't know, 30 something years old, in my tapping training, crying from something from 7th grade. Like, wow. But that was the thing, you know, and that hit. And so what I realized, like even how you were like interviewing me, like I wouldn't be able to have done that back in the day. And there's no way I would have done a speaking tour. Like, oh my God, like speak in front of a whole bunch of people to be up there and judged, and, you know, and oh my goodness, no. But I didn't even realize how addressing that in my training actually moved me forward. I just got out and started doing life and just telling everybody about EFT, and then opportunities were coming along, and workshops, and I was doing it, and I didn't even realize, I put it together later, like, oh, I addressed that. That's why I'm able to speak in front of people now, you know? So EFT, you know, what I like to say is EFT kind of brings you back to the truth of who you are. You know, because underneath all of that, I obviously was a person who could speak and do workshops and talk in front of people. I never knew that because it was buried under my old conditioning and programming. So it brings you back to the truth of who you are. And that's what I love. So it's spiritual too to me. That's why I love it so much.
So what's like the wildest thing that you've ever seen happen in, let's say, in one session of tapping with someone?
Well, I had one woman that was like a one-hit wonder. She just kept getting married. She had husband after husband. And I had one session with her, and all types of stuff came up that she had never told anyone. And she finally, because it was important to her to be in a committed relationship, so she finally found a husband. And I saw she posted the other day, because every time I talk to her, I'm like, you still like him? You still like him? So they're still together. It's been over like 7 years now, but she just could not maintain a relationship. And so she was like a one hit wonder. So that was one that was pretty powerful. But I had one woman that I tapped with her. She was living in like a not too hot of a neighborhood, and she wanted to know, well, why couldn't I stay in a nice house? So we did some tapping, and all of a sudden she moved into a nice area in the suburbs. Her kids were able to go to a good school, and she invited me to her housewarming party, because she was like, it's because of you, we're here, you got to come, you know? So, I mean, I've worked with so many different people with so many different things. And that's the thing, I never had like a specific niche in EFT. And so now I'm kind of on a different path where I still use it, but I'm like working with people with like self-actualization, and we still use EFT because it's just, I mean, blocks are always there. Things are always coming up. So I will always use it. But when I first learned it, I thought, this is my purpose. I'm meant to spread this to the world. This is what I'm supposed to do. And I did that. I'm proud that I did spread it to a lot of people. I still do, but I have like a bigger purpose that I've discovered. So
awesome. So if somebody's interested in becoming an EFT practitioner, or maybe even just learning what they need to do for their own self practice, where do you recommend they go?
Well, if they wanted to get certified, I know that I went through EFTuniverse.com. They have something, and then ACEP.com. They have a training. Then one can look. I don't recommend necessarily the different tapping scripts and things like that, because sometimes you were lucky, you were able to tap along with Nick and the woman and it resonated, but sometimes people can go and find a video and kind of tap along and it's not hitting their own specific issue. But I would say to find out about the points and a little bit more about EFT, you can always Google it. There's the points, there's videos. My previous instructors, EFTtappingtrainings.com, they actually do trainings too. That's a good place. And, if anybody has any questions for me, you can look me up and send me a message, and I'll be happy to answer.
Yeah, where can they find you?
Well, they can find me on Facebook under my name, Safiya Omosanya. I am on Instagram. Don't do a lot there, but I do have a link to my calendar because I do like 15-minute like free consultations to see if, if it's something that can help. So Instagram is at Safiya Teaches.
Okay.
Yeah. Or find me on Facebook.
All right. So as you what if in terms of parting words, is there anything that we missed, didn't cover? Is there any last words or advice that you would love to share for women in healthcare as they start making the transition to doing their own thing?
Right. I would say, the steps I would say is, first of all, have a vision for yourself. And then once you've gotten that vision down and you see yourself doing it and you feel those blocks coming up, just start tapping on the points. Okay. So I would say find the EFT tapping points and just tap through the points. I'll just quickly go through the points. So we have beginning of the eyebrow point, side of the eye, under the eye, under the nose, under the lip. And then we have our collarbone. It's like an inch down. There's a sore spot. We tap there. And then we go under the arm. There's a sore spot under there as well. And it's where the woman's brow goes across. We tap there. And then top of the head. Okay. So I would recommend actually a daily practice of it, because some of the things it does is it helps with emotional well-being. It helps with self-regulation. So it's going to regulate your nervous system, calm you down. It's a practice, like I said, along with, I do like breathing, deep breathing, belly breaths. I do tapping every day. Sometimes there's things that come up that I need to tap on that's heavy, and you can just tap and talk whatever is coming up for you. It's going to help tremendously. And if it's nothing specific coming up, just tapping, that just calms down your whole nervous system, and it can change you into the person that you want to be and return you back to your true essence of who you are before the world got a hold to you. So that's right. Seriously.
Yeah, no, I think that's so important about because I think about that's part of the reason why I called the program the Courage Circle, is because everybody's amygdala is so fired up and they're thinking somebody's out to get me, and they're afraid, and all of these unpleasant emotions.
Right.
And they think that it means stopping. And I'm just in the work that we do, if we can just get people to calm down, they can access their own wisdom again.
Yes, I have to quickly share, when I was going to do the speaking tour, my brain was like freaking out. Okay, I could do the part where I contacted the people, I put together the proposal, I did all of those type of things. I could do that. Okay, but when it came time to, they had the flight information and they sent everything to me, because anytime you do anything that's new and out of your comfort zone, when you're up leveling, and that's where people think like, oh, when I get rid of this fear, then I'll do it. No, it doesn't go anywhere. It needs to be like a little friend that you just bring along and be like, shh. You know what I mean? Because you're not getting rid of that fear. Okay.
No, it just comes with you when you do the next thing. Hello? It's like, oh, now I gotta change my identity again to meet this thing.
Yes. And
I'm so glad you said that.
Before I finish the story, I recommend this video called Dave's Brain. Dave's Brain. It's on YouTube. It talks about what happens when you try to do something different and your reticular activating system is like, nope, this doesn't match with this person's self-image. Then the amygdala gets alerted, sounds the alarm, and then all of a sudden you feel so uncomfortable. So that's what happened with me. I'm getting the information. I'm like, oh my God, what was I thinking? I was almost going to cancel. I was like, I can't do this. But my husband, he's a PT. He had went and told everybody that I was going to be doing this. And I'm like, he's going to think I'm not serious. That's the only reason. I promised I almost canceled it. And then I was on a plane like, what was I thinking? Like, how did I think I could do this? And guess what? I was tapping. And I told my people in the audience, because I talk to them like just like friends. I was like, listen, I had to do tapping to come teach you all tapping. Okay, so just know that fear is going to always be there when you're up leveling, and this technique can really help you when your system is like freaking out, your amygdala is like, don't do it, and it don't feel good, you feel sick. It gives you physiological symptoms where you're like, you know what, I don't think I'm gonna do this, and most people don't do it. They chicken out, and then they leave this earth with their song still in them. So that's my 2 cents.
Yeah, I love it. Or the other thing they do is they don't do it and they think, oh, now I feel comfortable again. I feel relief. And
Yeah.
that's the sign that I should not have done
Right.
it. And
True.
so the next time
Right.
they feel that feeling, what it does is create this loop of, oh, I need to stop doing this thing that would actually help me grow to the next level. Because when I stop doing the thing, I feel relief. And that's just not how it works.
That's not it. But yeah, if people understood that, but it doesn't feel good. So I could see where people want to get back to normal or comfortable, because watch, everybody look up Dave's brain. You'll see exactly what's happening and how people end up going back to their comfort zone. But now you have this tool, tap, and I'm telling you, just wow. I mean, the things that I've been able to do and create I credit it to having this tool in my toolkit. Seriously.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Safiya, for coming on and sharing your wisdom and talking about EFT. I am excited because I'm all about courage and fear and all of that. But like you said, if we have one more tool in the toolbox to use to help us take action towards our dreams and help others, I think it's all worth it. So thank you so much for being here. And I look forward to seeing you in the group.
All righty. My pleasure. Bye.